And so after watching quite a lot of them, I sort of started to question and say, okay, is this because he's particularly into comic book movies? Is this because Hollywood is just producing a lot of them right now? Like that's sort of the Hollywood thing. We're in the comic book era, or is he cherry picking and going for ones that he's already interested in, or are we just producing a lot of them? Or is it some combination of that? And I
Yeah.
guess related to that, is it just sort of a feature of comic book movies that they're poorly written? So there's a lot of fodder for him there.
Yeah, that's a good point about comics and the type of writing that goes into them. I think poorly written might be one way to say that, but another might be there's a kind of way that comics have come to be written. Things like Marvel comics over the 80-ish years that people have been writing them, to where there's certain kinds of tropes, certain types of behavior that you can expect and not say, "Whoa, you just broke the rules."
Yeah.
Sort of the same way the fantasy world has come to exist, where everybody now has an expectation to some degree of what an elf is going to be in any story that has an elf. And in that case, a lot of that goes to Tolkien kind of writing the foundational descriptions. And Tolkien was actually inventing stuff there, because before Tolkien, elves were honestly a lot more like goblins, typically or frequently. And not like orcs goblins. I'm talking like little mischievous creatures who kind of have their own idea about things that are
Like
not very fair.
leprechauns.
Yeah, yeah. So I think maybe you are touching on something that is going on, and which Ryan is playing into, is that the comic book stories that have been made into movies, or even just new stories that have been written for comic characters, are adapting one type of literature for a completely different presentation style that has different rules about what is and isn't permissible in this kind of universe. That when you're trying to make a big budget movie, it does kind of come across as comedic and ridiculous, because we have expectations about the kinds of things that you're allowed to do in a big budget movie. And being a weird green dude who zooms around on a flying hoverboard and has a ridiculous costume is like not it's not a thing you do in a mainstream movie.